Hello and welcome to the show. Pardon my voice this evening because this is a late night recording. Then I'm also not in the audio booth, so I expect to hear some interruptions in the background. And yeah, the noise you can hear is just this it's this thing that's been going on in Abuja for a while. Guys just buy supercars like Ferraris and stuff like that. Then they modify the exhaust, then they soup it out and they put like fluorescent lighting underneath the cars and things like that. And then when it gets close to midnight, boys are just driving and blasting these things all over the place. So that's the those are the nuisances that you can hear outside the window. If you can hear all that zooming and everything, it's just Money Miss Road basically. And then my wife says that it's mostly boys from Lagos. As per Tinubu is now in, so Lagos boys have moved down and things like that. So the trend of people just flashing their supercars, the thing is on another level these days. Anyway, today's episode is not about supercars and about trends in the auto industry, if we can put it that way. Today, I'm going to take a detour from what we've been discussing because we've been looking at prospecting in how to grow your business by prospecting. And the case study that I've been using the last 2-3 days has been a young female lawyer, 10 years post call, trying to build a consultancy practice when it comes to securities compliance. Yes. So today I'm just going to take a little break to address something else which just came up recently and which also buttresses something I've been talking about on the podcast, which is qualification and discovery. Now, this is your first time listening to the podcast. There's a central theme that I keep coming back to over and over again, which is that if you want to build your business, you need to pay attention to the big three. And if you've been listening for the last, 2-3 minutes, I'm sure you'd have figured out that the big three are actually prospecting, qualification, and discovery. Now, prospecting is all around who might be interested in my product or my service, where do they hang out, online or in the real world, how can I find them, how can I initiate conversations with them. That is prospecting. Now, when it comes to qualification and discovery, that is the process of you actually having those conversations. What are the sorts of things that we should be having conversations about? And that is what I want to discuss today. Because I had an interaction with Wonder Woman. And when I say Wonder Woman, I don't mean Gal Gadot. Even though she's a fine babe, man, if any of you are connected to her, just please give her my phone number so that, me and her, we can start liaising. Because after all, I'm looking for a second wife, so it won't be a bad idea to have a multinational, international wife who is also earning in dollars in the Hollywood space. So that would greatly increase my, how will I say? It'll increase my wallet, Let me just put it that way. So if any of you know Gal Gadot, just holler at her, Just let her know that boys in Nigeria were saying what's up. So, where was I? So, there's somebody else that I've been calling Wonder Woman over here on the podcast, and that's just a code name for a young lady in Nigeria in Benue State University, who is in the catering space. And we've been following some of her adventures over here on the show. So Wonder Woman reached out. There's been some development to her story, and so I figured, let me just hop on here and then make a recording real quick and now touch on the importance of qualification and discovery in sales. Now, before I continue, the usual shout outs. Today I'm going to shout out Margaret Spicy. That's a very nice name. Very interesting name. She is a listener to the show on Spotify, and she commented on Spotify. Now, she's also a consultant in the Oriflame thing. Now, Umesoma, who also listens to the podcast, has really told me that Oriflame has nothing to do with shea butter. Ori, the shea butter thing. So I guess those of you who are Oriflame beauty consultants, please, you guys, hit me up, educate me on the business, especially Margaret Spicy, because she says she has a couple of questions. So I dropped my contact details on the chat in Spotify, and I'm going to do that again. So if you'd love to connect with me, for a business audit, for a strategy session, or if you have questions, just like Margaret Spicy does, then the phone number is 080-6466-2140. The country code is +234 for those of you who are not Nigerian. Then also connect with me on LinkedIn. The name to look for is Tabishima Ayude. If you don't dig Spotify, you can find my stuff on YouTube. Same name as well. Okay, so today we're taking a detour, so we're not going to be discussing anything legal related. Today is going to be all cuisine and all food and all chef-like, stuff like that. So, like I said, today the focus is qualification and discovery in sales. Now, this is a very important topic because it helps us to figure out a couple of things. Number one, the reason why I think we should be paying attention to qualification and discovery. And remember, qualification and discovery basically is just the conversation phase. As per, you've already figured out who should I be talking to, where do they hang out. Now you guys are face to face, or ear to ear, or keyboard to keyboard, or whoever it is that you're having this conversation. Now the next step is, what are the kind of things that we should be talking about? That essentially is what qualification and discovery is about. Now, qualification and discovery is important because it helps us figure out two things. Number one, when to take a meeting. Because you will find that in some cases, for those of you who sell products like maybe Oriflame people, I guess there's no need for a meeting. And it depends. Because if you sell products, like let's say you sell gadgets like Bluetooth keyboards or something, I guess it's a matter of qualification and discovery. You guys go to chat back and forth. But once you figure out what it is that the person wants, you just tell them, look, okay, we've been chatting for like 3 weeks now. I've told you, Bluetooth keyboard is 250k. If you're ready, these are my account details. So I guess there's no need for a meeting. But for other people, like Wonder Woman, remember she's a chef. She's into catering and all that kind of stuff. And I started off as a wedding photographer. Now I'm a business consultant. And even for our sister self, who wants to start off legal consulting services. For people like us, at some stage, we got to take a meeting. Because there's some things, some complex sales scenarios, that you can't just wrap things up by just sending people your account number. At some point, you have to take a meeting. Now, qualification and discovery is going to let you know when to take a meeting and whether this is something that you should even be taking a meeting in the first place. So, number one, that's why qualification and discovery is important. It will help you figure out when should you take a meeting. Next, it's also going to help you figure out when to issue a proposal or when to start talking about price. Because if you do your qualification and discovery real good, one of the things it will help you achieve is it will help you know that, you know what, this thing is not serious. This person is not serious. There's no need for a meeting. I'm not even going to dignify this guy or this girl and start talking price. Let me just flashy this thing. It actually is a benefit. Some of you might think it's a downside, but remember, sometimes it's not just about looking for the right people to talk to. It's also a matter of getting rid of the wrong people so that we don't waste time with them. Now, let's define qualification and discovery. Qualification and discovery, there's lots of technical definitions, but for the purpose of this episode, every time you hear me talk about qualification or discovery, I just means, I just means. Sorry, forgive me. Like I said, it's a late night recording, so my brain is a little slow today. It was a long day. So when we're having questions about the person that you're yarning with, that you guys are seeing face to face or ear to ear, if you're using phone or keyboard to keyboard, if you guys are doing email, you need to be able to figure out who is this person, who is this dude, who is this guy, who is this girl. All those kind of questions. That is qualification questions. Then you also ask questions about the opportunity, or questions about the problem, or questions about the vision, what the person is aiming towards. Those are called discovery questions. So when you hear qualification and discovery, basically it just means that part of the conversation where you're trying to source out who is this person, what's the problem himself, what's the opportunity, is the opportunity juicy, or is the opportunity rubbish? All those questions, that's qualification and discovery. And remember, I said the reason why qualification and discovery is important is because it will give you information. You will know whether this is a person worth talking to. If the person is worth talking to, then by all means, dive in. If the person is not worth talking to, try and weave this thing. Either tell the person it's not going to be a good fit, or try and refer it to somebody else that might be a good fit. And then you call the other person and say, look, dude, I think this kind of client is more like your thing. So if the thing clicks, just send me 10%. Have that conversation. Then, let's see what else. So, qualification and discovery will help you figure out, is this person worth talking to? Then, it's also going to help you figure out, is this something that is worth my time? Or is this something that is worth me getting emotionally invested? Especially in the early days, for those of us who consider ourselves to be artists. So you, catering people, you guys consider yourselves to be culinary artists. So know how. Any gig that you take, you will be emotionally involved because there's more. Well, there's creativity and artistry involved in most businesses, but so I started off as a wedding photographer, and I just noticed that wedding photographer, caterers, cake people, who else? Fashion designers, we get very touchy with our craft. Anyway, that is criticism for another day. So I said the reason why I'm looking at qualification and discovery now is this. Remember that now we're back to Wonder Woman's matter. And please remember, when I say Wonder Woman, I don't mean Gal Gadot. I mean the lady who is based in Makudi, who is a student of Benue State University, who is in cuisine and catering and chef, and that's her business, yeah. And we started exploring her matter over here on the podcast when we're looking at the issues that she has around business expansion. So she's been doing this for a bit. She wants to expand the business. So that's how her matter came over here on the podcast. Now, I did an episode, I think the last episode that I did concerning Wonder Woman was on whether she should accept equity investment. That was the episode where I went on and on about why you shouldn't do business with your boyfriend or do business with a toaster. Now, even though we started off with boyfriend and toaster, eventually we explored the broader topics so that if you are considering equity investment, and equity just means somebody is dropping bar, the person is dropping pay, and the person wants a certain share of your business. Because in her own case, there was a potential investor who, there was a potential investor who was thinking of dropping money on an equity basis. And so that whole episode was on, look, my own opinion basically was like, look, don't do business with a boyfriend or a toaster or with anybody who might have some kind of emotional entanglement in the future. But even if you want to do so, these are the sorts of issues you should be discussing. So, whether you have friend with benefits or emotional entanglement or we're just friends or whatever, it's a good episode to listen to. But even if you're looking for institutional investors, it also is a good episode to listen to because I went through a number of things that you should be discussing before you guys exchange contracts and exchange money. And please, I hope that's the only thing that you guys will be exchanging. Don't exchange anything else. Where was I? Okay. Now, so this is how Wonder Woman came back into the picture. So me and Wonder Woman, we've been chatting, and the good news is like she's got a commission, a possible commission, a possible engagement. Someone reached out. Are you available in Makudi? Of course she responds yes. Then she asks a couple of questions. Is this private or is this a restaurant? The person says private. And then summary, the person says, okay, we have a physical interview tomorrow. And then she's like, okay, send the address. And then that's how the conversation ended. And of course, it turned out not to be a bad meeting. But anyway, how it turned out, I'm going to leave that for Wonder Woman to share the testimony amongst her friends and her family. But the reason I'm making this episode is just to say that the conversation could have been handled a little bit more differently. Sorry. Look, forgive me, I'm really slow this night. The conversation could have been handled better because the way she handled the conversation was okay. Are you available in Makudi? Yes. Is this private or restaurant? Private. Physical interview tomorrow. She says, okay, send me the details. Now that's cool, and I'm glad it worked out well. But the thing is, most of the time, for those of you who are listening to this show and you guys are caterers, it's not every single meeting that you take. Because sometimes the exchange happens like this, you show up for the meeting, and then by the time you see the people and by the time they open their mouth, you'll be like, hi, me sir, why did I come for this meeting? I went on one chance. Like nothing good is going to come out of this. So we need to be able to have ways of engaging in conversations that tells us a couple of things about whether this is a good meeting to take, whether we should even start talking money with these people. Is this person worth talking to? Is this something that is worth my time? Oh, by the way, I told Wonder Woman that she was going that she should carry one person, you know. And this is just being real as per security conscious in Nigeria, because these days, we they hear all kind of stories. So it just helps. If I even my wife sometimes when I'm going out, she's like, "Oh, where are you going? Where are you going?" I'm like, "Look, babe, don't worry. I've been doing this for a while. I always meet people in public places, so co-working space, or if I'm going to check the person's office, like I check address and things like that. So myself, I don't want to go somewhere and then miss. Before you know it, I'll wake up and then maybe my head is inside basin and then they call my name 3 times and I'll start vomiting dollars, that kind of thing. So security, sha, so this kind of thing, do your research ahead of time. And then, of course, young ladies, go with somebody. Let somebody know where you're going. Where was I? So security issues aside, yeah, we need to be able to figure out, should we take this meeting or not? Is this person somebody of timber and caliber, or is this person a useless anyhow person? Is this what a meeting was taking? So we actually should be having much more qualification and discovery questions whenever people hit us up in the DMs or on email or they call us up on the phone. You don't just show up for a meeting like that. So qualification and discovery, more questions. Remember from previous episodes that we should try and keep the questions conversational, because like I keep saying, Nigerians, they don't like interview or query. If it sounds like you're interviewing them, they will just lock up. The attitude will be like, the infantry of this girl, I'm calling you for money and you're the one that's not interviewing me. If you're not serious, I beg, just get out. Let me call somebody else. That would be like the attitude that they'll give you. So you keep this thing nice and conversational, and then you keep the conversation, you keep it open-ended, so it doesn't sound like it's a query or it's an interrogation. So the first question that she asked about home or office, yeah, that makes sense. That's cool. That's a nice question to ask. And then they respond, "Oh no, that is a private something." Then you just flow into some more questions now, like, oh, okay, like number of meals per day. Is this going to be like a breakfast, lunch, dinner kind of thing, or is it just 1 or 2 meals in a day? From the answer, you now be able to know how will I put it, based on what they say. You now know whether you can probe more, into size of the home or size of the office, that kind of thing. Like if it's an office thing, but only 1 meal a day, it's like, oh, okay, so this is just going to be a lunch thing, and lunch is usually like 1 p.m. So, oh no, lunch in this case is going to be like between 3 and 4. So, how come? How come? Most other establishments is one. So, oh no, in our line of business, something, something, something. So, oh, okay, what line of business are you in? So you can see that as the conversation is flowing like that, you begin to be teasing out 1 or 2 things. Who are these people? What are they about? What am I getting myself into? Before you show up for the meeting. Because it's also possible you show up for this meeting and then you find out that maybe it's a local government school or something like that, and it's going to be maybe 40,000 naira a month or something, and you see that you just wasted your time. You took Bolt 2k to drive there. Bolt going back will be 2k. You spend 4k to go and discuss with somebody that what they were thinking is full-time employment for 40k in a month. So this is why you have to ask a couple of questions before you leave. So home or office, yes. Number of meals, is it breakfast, lunch and dinner? Maybe it's only dinner only. How many times a week? What's the size of the home? What's the size of the office? Or how many children do these people have? How many people are in the office? Now, of course, the usual question, now, what kind of cuisine? Is it going to be African cuisine or continental cuisine? You also need to know, because some of you in the cuisine space, some of you are local champions. You don't know how to do full English breakfast, Scottish breakfast, that kind of thing. You need to know up front before you say yes. You show up for the meeting and then they start telling you that we want eggs and ham and bacon and something, and you're thinking like, bacon, eggs, ham? Like, all I know how to do is I know how to make tuwo shinkafa, I know how to do pounded yam, I know how to do amala. Any of those things, you're on your own. So you need to ask these kinds of things before you show up. Also, because there's some of you that are very, very snooty the other way around. You've been to I don't know, some fashion cuisine, something, in London or Paris, or you schooled in New York or something like that. So you only know how to make all these fancy, sunny side up eggs and toast, something. You consider pounded yam to be beneath you. So you need to ask before you show up for the meeting and they say that, oh, this one is going to be straight up rice, beans, and pounded yam. And you think, okay, some of that is beneath you. You're looking for something much more challenging. You want to broaden your expertise, broaden your palettes, broaden your craft. Have all these conversations so that you don't just show up for a meeting and you're like, I just wasted my time. So whether it's African or continental dishes, you have that kind of questions. You have the conversation. Then I also think, I don't know, because I'm not in the catering space, but I'm also thinking you should be asking questions around shopping. Like, okay, market runs, who will be doing the market runs? Is it that I show up and you guys have already prepared everything down? My own is just show up and cook and then leave. How far are we cleaning? Do you guys have cleaning staff that will be doing the whole thing? Or do I come with my own crew? So that as you drop everything, I cook it, my people clean, and then we leave. You ask all those kinds of questions. Is it that I'm the one that's going to be going to the market? You transfer the money to me and then blah, 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 but have all these questions. Then I would also recommend that you ask some questions stylishly about the previous person. Now, oh, how come there's a vacancy now? Okay, the other lady just left. So, oh, okay, she just left. What's the situation there? What happened? Was she fired? Or why did she leave? Ask those kind of questions. Because it would be nice to know. Is it that lady, Jagba, and so now they need a new cook? Or is it that she was sacked or something? Maybe because I've been doing this for a while, I know how I'll be able to ask the question and be able to figure out whether there's a backstory here. But you need to figure out what it is that you're walking into. Because there's a way, like if you ask the question stylishly, there's a way you will know that, okay, this place that I'm going, these people are problematic. Just so you know what you're letting yourself up for. So at least if you show up and you do your best, but then there's plenty of quarrel, and after 2 months they sack you, well, it won't come as a surprise because you asked the questions. So all those sorts of things. Then I'm also assuming you can ask questions based on dietary restrictions, because there are some people that don't eat. Let me see. Like some people who say, I'm old. Doctor said I should not be eating pounded yam. Doctor said I should not be eating meat. So all those sorts of things you need to ask. There might also be, apart from dietary restrictions, there might also be religious restrictions or cultural restrictions. Because, our brothers and sisters in certain part of Nigeria, for instance, those people that they chop dog, they eat dog meat. You will know yourself. Let me not call any tribe. So all these people that like to chop dog meat, they eat dog meat. You need to know, because there are some people that will say, me cook dog, no, abomination. Where I come from, we don't touch dog. Or cook cat meat. Where I come from, we don't cook cat. Ask all these questions so that you don't show up for the meeting and then they ask you, there's now to prepare dog meat. And they bring dog for you and they ask you to start cutting dog. And then it's there that you now start saying, me, touch dog, OTO, abomination, blah, blah, blah. So you need to have all these conversations. Oh, by the way, my brothers and sisters from other parts of Nigeria where you guys eat dog, don't be offended, I beg. I take shots at other tribes. So I guess it was only a matter of time before I will enter your matter. But anyway, let me stop here before I get haters from certain parts of the country. Anyway, the point of what I'm just trying to make is this. I'm happy for Wonder Woman that someone reached out, and I'm glad that it all turned out well. And it's this is January the 26th right now that I'm making this recording. So you know how December, January can be long because you spend money in December and then house rent and then school fees and this and that. So January can be very tight. So sometimes the temptation is that anybody that calls you in January, you just rush like, man, like I need this paper, I need this dough. You just rush for the meeting. So I'm not saying you should be formal, I'm just saying ask a couple of questions first. Figure out what's going on. So you can decide, is this a meeting worth having or not? Because like I said, if you show up for this meeting, assuming it is a private school, but actually turns out that it's local government school, and what they're offering is 40,000 naira every single month. And like I said, you took both, 1.5 going, 1.5 coming, that's 3K. You've lost money. So we actually need to ask these questions. So you can figure out, when should I be taking a meeting? Who should I be taking a meeting with? Should I issue a proposal? Is it worth talking price to these people? Is this a person that is worth talking to? Is this something that is worth my time? Should I even bother getting emotionally invested? So qualification and discovery. That is the, how do I put it now? That is the part of the business relationship where we figure out all these things. So we know whether to dive forward or whether to scale back. And then, of course, like I said, the security implications involved. So if you're a young lady like Wonder Woman and you're going for this meeting, especially when the meetings last late into the night, go with somebody or let people know where you're going. This Bolt thing, you enter into Bolt security feature, shared address with someone, do all of that. And please, I'm not being sexist though by saying that Wonder Woman should do that, because I told you that even me, there's some kind of meetings I'm heading out for. My wife will now be asking me that, this time, where are you heading? And I have to tell her, no, don't worry, calm down. I already asked the person one or two things. I did some research. I know this part of town. And besides, this is a public place. I am the person who even selected this venue. So, in Abuja, there are some places. There are some eateries. There are some hangouts. Some public places now that you can, some mutually safe places that you can recommend. Okay, let's meet at so and so, blah blah blah. Okay, no problem. Do you know so and so cafe on this place, that place? Oh yeah, sure. Okay, we'll be there. Let's meet there 4 p.m. That kind of thing. Public location, it. It is a safe place. Like, okay, nothing can happen. Even if Yah wants to bust in this kind of place, I know how I can do like this or do like this, do like that. So I'm not being sexist here. It's just practical, whether you're a man or a woman. It's just unfortunate that lots of times all the horror stories that we see on social media usually is not, the babe that was taken advantage of. Anyway, let me not be talking bad news, but my prayer is that as we're wrapping down 2020, as we're wrapping down January, and as good calls have started coming in for different people, not just from Wonder Woman, other people that I'm in touch with, even me, man, there's some people that have, already started saying that, guy, we like what you're doing. Let's see how we can work together, blah, blah, blah. So, yeah, all those meetings are beginning to happen. So it's my prayer that more of these opportunities and more of these meetings, more of these inquiries will come for the rest of 2025, for February, and beyond. So it's my prayer that all our businesses will grow. Just remember that we should always do good qualification and good discovery so that we won't drive down for this meeting or spend money going to Bolt for this meeting, and then when we're leaving the meeting we'll now be angry that I wasted 5K coming here on top a sour deal or a deal that was not cool in the first place. So just ask a couple of questions. If you need ideas, check Google or check ChatGPT or whatever. Just type qualification and discovery questions for, XYZ. Put your discipline. So let's say you are a masseuse. You do massage, for instance. Go to ChatGPT and type it there. I'm a masseuse / massage artist. I'll be massage therapy, something, based in Ogun State, Nigeria. What are good qualification and discovery questions to ask potential clients before going in for a consultation? ? Send. A list of questions will come up. Some of them You look at some of them and think, oh, brilliant. Ask those questions. Some of them, you look at them and think, useless questions. Or these questions don't apply to Nigeria. Delete those questions. But either way, if you do that research and start off with this, over time, you'll be able to refine and you'll be able to refine it, as in ask the questions better, add some more to the list, reduce some. But I'm just saying, once you take a qualification and discovery, once you take that philosophy to heart in running our businesses, you can't go wrong with it, basically. All right, 30 minutes, so let me just bring it to a close. Again, if you'd love to connect for a business audit, a strategy session, or you just have some questions, call me, WhatsApp me. The number is 080-6466-2140. Country code +234 for those of you who are not Nigerian. Also, connect with me on LinkedIn. The name to look for is Tavishima Ayede. Please ignore the other socials. I'm in the middle of deleting all those other profiles. If you see any other Tavishima Ayede somewhere, that is not me. Especially if the person decides to ask you for money in the first interaction. I'm saying this because they tried to hack my WhatsApp a couple of times, and that's one of the reasons why I'm taking everything down, apart from LinkedIn. At least LinkedIn I use all the time. So, thank you very much, guys, for your time and your attention. And ladies, I will catch you at the next episode.